To season 1, episode 10 of the Strength in Numbers podcast. We'll be talking about Luke Stoltman's log press attempt, what happened with that. We'll be talking a little bit about his brother's stone attempt that's coming up, a little bit about what's going on with Eddie and Thor, and then we're going to finish up by just going over possibilities for season 2 of the podcast. So to start off with that log press, like 10 kilos less, looked like no issue whatsoever. And then he felt it just going up 10. I was looking really close at them. Did you guys get a chance to look through those?
Looking through
his presses. I put some pictures into the podcast. Just so basically, he got it. He got them both up to the clean position, no problem. The issues showed up after the clean. So the first picture I posted was the angle. So I was trying to figure out why he failed, and it looked like he had the log or the body angle just slightly more back. And it looked like when he went to push it up from the ground with his legs, that he got it just like an inch lower. So from the breakdown I was looking at, it looked like he had it. His technique was just off from his previous PRs that he's posted.
Well, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the videos. I'm looking at the images now. Yeah, I think his technique was probably a bit off, but I actually think the real problem was when he had to hold those couple reps for way longer than anyone's ever had to hold a lockout. That was very flawed in my opinion. I think him having to hold those reps, I think that tired him out quicker than he wanted to be tired out.
I think so too, because like Justin was saying, like his movement from the clean all the way up, it was like no problem. And he started pushing it up, and you see with that 230, he got about halfway there, and he started just really moving. It's like he just didn't have the arm strength left there to push it, because I mean, holding those two lifts, 192, 212, they're no slouch. I mean, holding those over your head for 4 seconds really going to gas your arms out real quick, because everything, all the technique besides that was flawless, but I just don't think he had the arm power left, which kind of
also looked like that the end of where he started strict pressing. So once you go up and you throw it up, it evolves into a strict press.
Yep.
His right arm was at the point it normally is when he starts his strict press, but his left arm was it looked like it could be about an inch and a half too low. And when you look at the squat push into the leg drive that he was doing on the previous lifts and that he did on his Instagram at the 220 kilograms, he looked like it was more explosive with it. So I think to these big two problems was that he had it a little bit back than he's used to, and that he didn't quite get his throw up right, and that it was about an inch lower on one side than he's used to when he starts his strict press.
I did notice that kind of imbalance between the left and right arm. Seems like one was struggling a lot more than the other with that 230. I remember looking at because all 4 of his attempts looked about like that for the 230.
And my other theory too that I've always had about log press, that a metal log with more weight added to the sides is easier to press than a log where most of the weight's in the log. And if you look at it, his 220, he had way more rotational weight that could spin than he had on his 230 kilogram attempt.
See, and your theory with that is sound. The problem I have with it is the clean is where that is the most the clean to this point is where that actually is being affected. Once you're going up with it, that rotation, you're not throwing that log up to have those plates spinning. I mean, this part, once you're here, you're there. This part, and then you press it. And I just don't think I think for the clean, you're 100% right. But I think for the press, the overall press, I think his arms were tired. I think he just was wore out.
You also, the easier it gets to the clean, the more you're saving your arms. So if you have a harder clean, it can also take a little bit out of your pressing power. But yeah, it looked close. It looked so close.
Oh, he was damn close on that first attempt.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
it
on
was
that
so
first attempt,
close.
I was kind of 50-50 when he was pushed it up there, wondering if he was just going to be able to just eke it out, hold it long enough for that delay for Z to like drop the weight, but just so
Had
close.
it. He actually was lit. He had it, and he just couldn't quite get his.
Hold it long enough to
No,
get.
he couldn't quite get it in front of him. So if you look at his good lifts, he gets it up to a certain point, and then he like hip thrusts forward.
Hmm.
For the last bit that he does to press the log up is his back is bent, right? He does the full arm press first, and he finishes off by leaning forward.
Yep, getting that head through the lift, yeah.
Yeah, so that last couple inches of the log being lifted is actually pure back and hips because his arms are already locked out. And he did fight through the 230, and it looked like to me that he did get the 230 locked out in the arms. But by the time he got it locked out in the arms, because of like the unbalance, it was too far backwards. And when he tried to do his lean forward hip thrust, it was too out of center of gravity, and he just lost it and had to step backwards.
I didn't break it down that much. I was kind of just really upset that he didn't get it. No, I mean not upset like, oh, I watched this and he didn't get it, but like upset for him.
Yeah.
To clarify, I was like, oh, he deserves that. Like he's such a cool dude and such a good human.
Yeah. And
I
to
just want him
me,
to get it.
to me, the hardest part of a log press is the final extension with your arms straight up. And the fact that he got past that part, he just couldn't lean forward and maintain it vertically. I feel like it was a technique fell, but all the strength required for him to do it successfully with with perfect technique is there. Because if he would have been able to just get that, even with fighting it, maybe like an inch more forward, then he would have been able to balance it. So I feel like he has it in the bag. And the next competition he does, if there is a log press max event, that he probably will get this record.
I think so too. It's
definitely.
his record. I think it's Big Z holds the record, but I think it's Luke's. I think Luke is going to get it. I just think he needs the contest to do it. Because I don't know that he'll do another wuss thing. I don't think he'll do another
see that happening.
world
No.
thing. Yeah, I don't see that because we're getting kind of the world getting semi-normal again. So I think he's going to wait for a contest, and I think he gets it.
Well,
probably something with Giants Live.
Do you think Wuss is going to stop doing this though?
No, I don't.
No.
Because I honestly think that Rogue should stop doing record breakers at competitions and then just do the kind of format that Wuss is doing, and then have these individual peak records that are outside of competition. And then we have the competition records and the competition things, just because like these are fun. And it is interesting to see when you stack the deck in your favor as much as possible, what is the limit?
That is true.
Yeah.
Because they did team up with Thor to do his deadlift. Rogan most did, but not the rest of one. So it's obviously the possibility for collaboration is there.
Yeah, it drives me crazy though. Thor isn't going to go for 505. And really, I just can't wait for the first person to get 505. I don't care if it's in or out of a competition. I just want someone to hit 505 and end it. Because no one's going to be arguing who's second and third.
That is true.
No, yeah, I think Ivan. I don't remember his name. What's his last name?
I can't remember either. I'm just drawing a blank on that.
Ivan. Either I think he's gonna get it because he's calling 520 now.
Yeah, 520. So, I think November is when he's attempting that or something like that. Like sometime around the mid fall. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay. We got more after it.
So I think he's gonna take it. I don't know if we'll get to see Thorn in competition again, but that's for later.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, but I really can't wait to see I kind of want to see him and BB go at it. I would love to see them do just a log press championship outside, so just a log press competition, and get him in there, get BB in there. I just don't know if the other guys are in the same league.
Yeah, guys like Oberst and Kearney, they're not quite up there.
Yeah, I think they're what is the current American log press record?
214 kilograms.
They might be there because the world record's only 15 more kilograms, so 30 more pounds.
Yeah, well,
They mean,
yeah.
And Luke got 6 kilograms more than the American log press record, and Robert's saying he could literally break it any day he wanted to. He's just waiting for a competition. So if he's right about that, then he's also right about the 220. BB did a 229 or something?
It was something like that, yeah.
I thought he did 229, or he did 230.
No, he tied Big Z.
So 228 then.
228. So he's only 8 pounds above. No, actually, that might be a good competition with Oberst, Kearney, Luke, and BB. Maybe with all the work that Shaw's been putting into bench and pressing, that'd be interesting.
It would be. I don't know that Oberst, for whatever reason, I think he just wants the American record. But I would think, how does that work with records? So if Oberst or Kearney would put 230 up, would they hold both the world and the American record? How does that work? Or would
No, that's exactly how it works. So usually do records by your country, your continent, and the world. And I think most of North American records, I think the Canadians even pretty much throw in with the American records, but for Europe, you'll have the European log press record, and then the British log press record.
Okay, I was just wondering because, that would make it. But I think I would love to see them all go head to head on.
I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to see the American log press record be the world log press record.
That would be great. Obviously, if you're American, that's fantastic. but I would say I would like to see it too. And I don't know that Kearney, Oberst.
Kearney and Oberst are fighting about 6 pounds below. Now, I didn't know that Shaw wasn't even thinking he was that insanely good at the log, but when Oberst basically said that Shaw was equal with him in the interview they did, if he's being honest about that and not just trying to be nice, then that would put Brian in contention.
Well, it's Brian Shaw before the hamstring. He planned on going to the log lift championships and taking the American record. He was actually prepping to eventually take the American record at the same one I think Kearney did. Shaw was prepping. Shaw wanted to take it there, but when he pulled his hamstring, he was like, "No, I'm bowing out because hamstring."
And the thing about Kearney is he's a couple years out, I feel like, on everything but log press. 2-3 years. So what was his max deadlift? 880? He needs to get that to 920. Just a couple things if he just can tweak. But the log press is kind of his, so I think he's going to really try to hold that because right now his big claim, is the log press. So, he's going to fight for that tooth and nail to keep it until he can have claims like a world's ultimate strongman, title or an Arnold or.
Yeah. I would say Kearney's. He is an amazing presser. I'm not taking anything away from Kearney as far as pressing goes. My only thing is looking at the 230. I think Oberst is more focused. I guess my point is Oberst is more focused on just taking the American record. Now I say just taking. How awesome would it be to have an American log press world record? I think
we're looking that
would be fantastic, but. He is so big and so strong at pressing. Why would he settle for the American record? That's my thought process.
He keeps saying the American record he could take any day. But he's still focusing logs. So I think he is looking at the world record, but he's just saying, I'm already at the American record. In his head, he has that the next time he ever touches a log. So he's focused on he's I'm already past that milestone. Now I'm in that 12 kilogram going for the world record kind of milestone.
I hope he does too, because he's such a good presser, and his claim is the log. I mean, that his pressing.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
in the show, that's what he says. He actually said, I have the strongest shoulders in the world. Yeah,
He looks like it. He looks like it.
His traps are
Yeah.
just
Yeah, straight up
massive.
go up to
He's
like his
Like
ears.
a
Yeah.
mountain. Yeah.
he's all shoulders.
That man has nothing but shoulders and a head.
Giant head, apparently, according to Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall.
Yep.
A giant head.
Dude has to cut the neck out of his shirts just to get in them.
I couldn't believe that.
Well, he said that on the Brian Shaw interview.
And I couldn't believe it then, because it's like you would think Shaw would also be that big, because Shaw's an enormous human. I mean, he's a gigantor, right?
Yeah.
And whenever Obers was serious about, like, you guys don't cut the necks out of your shirts, it's like, whoa,
Right.
how big is this dude's head? I think it'd be cool to see.
So one thing that's also kind of crazy about this log press is so Big Z's broken it 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, never mind. Sorry, he's broken it 8 times. But he has 6 places before Iron BB's best lift, and so hit what he did 220 kilograms. Has been the record for the last 8 years. That's 8 years of a strongman record.
Yeah,
Pretty good. And he 8 years that that one has been untouched, and I think it's been 15 years since he first took the title, and then just kept breaking it himself.
Yeah.
So that's a long time.
And he's owned the title for 15 years, and his 8 years ago lift still has. It's gone up, 6 times since then. But the one from that, I can't think of any other record that's anything meaningful. You might have some records from like keg press or things that aren't done.
Yeah, like the Steinborn squat, stuff like that, but nothing as front and center as the log press, one of the iconic strongman events.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. It might even be my favorite.
The log press?
Yeah, it truly might be my favorite, just because I love it. Because holding that much weight. Justin, you and I love the log. We love overhead pressing. It's one of our. You and I have talked about this. It is, I think, equally our favorite. Just holding that much. What I love about it is, whenever you're holding, 200 and some pounds overhead, it's like, this is more than your average American male.
Yeah.
Holding over my head.
Every once in a while, I'll think about that, and you're like, you're pressing a person.
Yeah,
right.
I think about it all the time. I love that about log press. I'm not gonna lie, that's my favorite thing about it.
Like, if you're really heavy deadlift, you're like, there could be a person sitting on both sides of this bar.
Yeah. I'll say as a powerlifter, I don't really do much pressing, but it makes deadlifts my favorite event as far as, just standard powerlifting goes. I've done some pressing when I used to do Olympic style lifting, but that's kind of different than the log. But I've just always loved deadlift personally. I just like the way it feels.
I love deadlift because I'm good at it. But I love log because it's probably my favorite.
Fair enough.
Like I'm really good. I'm a better deadlifter than I am log presser. I like log more because it feels like, I just like the feeling of.
Yeah, I say that taking and just over your head and holding on to it. Like, I'm not dropping this on my head. This weighs more than you do.
Exactly. I just love that feeling. And with deadlift, it's like, yeah, I can deadlift this much, but then it's like.
And the from the ground log pressing, it's so awkward for people who haven't tried it before. So when you introduce someone and they can't get an empty log, and then you can put a bunch of weight and you can rep it, it's one of those things that just
super empowering. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super empowering. Just log is. I'm excited that we're talking about log because it's truly one of my favorites, and then we're going to be talking about my second favorite strongman event, which is also my nemesis, in Tom's Atlas Stones. So.
Well, yours was Atlas Stone pressing, right? It wasn't necessarily Atlas Stone to platform.
Oh no, it was Atlas.
Oh, Stone to platform.
Yeah, Stone to platform. It's my nemesis, and I'm fixing that. But it's my nemesis. I hate that.
Everyone has one.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience in Stone, but it seems like a lot like log, where you until you get a log and play with the log, you're not going to be putting up any significant weight.
Not you're not going to be satisfied. Well, it depends on where your bar is. See, my bar for what I wanted to do with stones was here, and what I was able to accomplish was like here. If that's in frame there, but It's like I
Yeah.
wanted this, could get this, and was pissed. Now I'm working on this to get to this, then get to this because it just it was so frustrating.
Do you ever do the Atlas Zone SDLs that Martins champions so much?
The what?
What Martins likes to do for Stone, he said this is the best thing he's found for training it, is he gets his hands under it, but he does an SDL pickup. So like he's not bending his knees, it's just purely back, and he lifts it about an inch off the ground and holds it for as long as he can. And then he goes back down.
That's a good idea.
It's
not my programming. However, my coach probably wouldn't argue if I did that on like an off day.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things. So we're sort of like Kearney says that like the thing he likes the most for stabilization is pressing kettlebells.
If you've not done that, seriously do it because it is amazing how weak you feel doing. Because like,
oh yeah,
it is.
You feel all your stabilization stuff kick in, but it's not any significant weight. What I like about it is it works stabilization, but with very little weight, so there's like no risk.
Yeah.
Because like you're really wobbly, but it's like 40, 30, 25 pounds. It's not gonna hurt you if you get off balance. Yeah. So
16 kilogram kettlebell. So whatever that is what I use when the gym was open. What I would use for that. So about 16 kilograms. Whatever.
like 35 pounds.
Something like that. But I'm telling you, I'm not a bad presser. I'm not a great presser, but I'm not a bad presser, and that works.
Yeah.
It is. And if you can get two of them, that's when it's really good because then you can really feel.
And when you look at like Kearney, I think I've seen him do with like 45s tops. You don't do much weight on that.
No.
Not even if you're one of the best pressers on the planet, you don't do a lot of weight on it, and it really works.
Yeah.
And it's hard too because that actually works grip too because you're holding that kettlebell by the handle upright. So I mean, you have to squeeze it so it stays, and then it's weird because the weight's so high. It's a good one.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had kettlebell if I could do it, but I don't. So
it's also one of those ones that people look at you like what are you doing?
Like you're so weak. It's like no, I'm not.
Oh, this is just.
Or just like why are you pressing a kettlebell kind of look? Like now you don't understand. I saw it on the internet. Trust me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, everything on the internet's true, right?
Exactly. It's 100% true. Nothing on the internet's ever been a lie. Ever.
That's against the law, right? You can't lie on the internet.
I'm almost certain it is. Tyler. Very certain. But yeah, the kettlebell pressing is it's crazy good for stabilization. Dumbbell pressing, which we talked about briefly before we went live, that makes that really shines. Your weaknesses shine whenever when you don't have a solid bar in both hands. Like you really can feel what side's stronger, what side's weaker. Are you stabilizing properly? I mean, it's really it's good. Anything any stabilizing is going to help in your big lifts because you can do a lot. You can do a lot like this. You can do more without, So,
who do you think could actually challenge Tom at Stones? Right, like who? If you're going to pick someone
right now, or if they wanted to, that's the difference.
Okay, we'll say in competition, one prep cycle from now.
Brian Shaw, not a question.
Brian Shaw and Mateusz Kieliszkowski.
You think? What about will you put Martins in that because he seems to be clinically good at stones?
Not for max weights though.
But he's never done match weight. I don't think he's always trained for series.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, you know what? Because I would. So I'm going to do Shaw, Kieliszkowski, and Lises because Lises has said multiple times that Atlas stones are the epitome of strongman. Like if there's one lift that you need to be good at strongman, he has said this. Probably not an exact quote, but he said it's Atlas stones. Like he holds Atlas stones very high up. If you can pick up heavy Atlas stones, you're strong.
I do remember him saying that. Yeah,
he has said that more than once. So if someone's like, "Hey, we're gonna do a max stone over bar," he'd like, "Okay, let's do this." Yeah, that is true. Because that's
a question of where he is with his max stone.
About much more Brian
prep cycle.
there's the thing with Brian. Brian's always trained for what he's competing at, and there hasn't been any heavy stone like max stone events in like what 5 years.
Yeah, that's because they stopped putting them in because you won them every single time. That's literally what happened.
Brian Shaw's the reason they quit doing it because it wasn't fair. It was
just he's mentioned before he could probably lift a 700-pound stone over a bar. So if he was just given a prep cycle, so it's like he'd be a really good competition against Tom.
Yeah, I just don't know because it's been nothing but series is if he's kept the weight up on his stone or if he's regressed because he's had no need because for the last 5 years it's all been in stone series training on Sean lighter stones, and that's a world difference than like max stone.
Oh, absolutely.
And if he hasn't prepped or tried, because if he feels like his stones are good for a series and he has no reason to do max stone and he hasn't tried to do max stone for half a decade, I don't know if we'd see Brian Shaw from 5 years ago on stone over bar right now on stone over bar. If we do, then absolutely, because historically, him and Tom are probably the two best to ever walk the planet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they are. They've proven they're the best. Martins, I think, could be. But Sean
he just needs to focus on it.
Have proven it.
Yeah, Tom is definitely the new king of the stones. I mean, that series he did at Wuss was just lightning. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, he is the stone guy.
Now, here's a question: where were you gonna go?
I was gonna say, if World's Strongest Man for whatever reason, like we're gonna do a max stone over bar this year, Shaw would train for it and he would be fine. Like, he would probably. I don't know if he'd win this time, but he would be second to Tom.
Yeah, Tom would definitely, without injury, he'd be the easy number one for that because he's literally trained for that right now. He's going for it this Saturday.
And everyone else has stopped when it's gotten good enough. Tom's the only one that's really been pushing that to ridiculous levels.
He's never satisfied. He's like, all right, I've done, because he did, that at the Arnold this year. He's like, all right, but now I want to go more.
Yeah, he wants more. He wants to be undeniably the king of the stone. Tom wants
log.
Yeah, Luke wants the
log. Tom wants stones.
Stones, and they will. Right now, I think Luke Stoltman is the best log presser. I would give it. Iron Baby is there, but
pick between the two of them.
You couldn't pick between.
Well, I would put, if it was just Vegas odds, I'd put like 55% Bibby, 45% Luke.
I would flip it, but that's fine.
Yeah, but that's how narrow I mean.
Yeah, I agree with how close they are, but I would go 55 Luke, 45 Iron Baby, because Iron Baby has proven that in competitions he struggles.
He gasses out really quick.
Luke's been doing really good the last couple of years. I think it's interesting that him and Tom have finished within one position of each other for the last 10 competitions, bar one, which Brian Shaw was split between.
Yeah, like what's last year? Luke got second, Tom got third. I mean, it's pretty good.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the strongest brothers in the world right now.
Oh, yeah. In the history of the world,
Doesn't Big Z have a brother?
No way his brother is on the same level as Big Z, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Big freaking Z.
But Big Z is enough to tip that scale to even that out a little bit. And then, oh my gosh, what's their name? Lawless.
Lawless?
They were in the Arnold's, top fives. So I will say Luke and Tom are stronger than them. And I think combined, they're stronger than Big Z and his brother, just because Big Z can only do so much, which is most of it. But it's close just because Big Z. We all love Big Z. I think. Yeah. I think everyone agrees that Big Z is the man.
I was watching
Brian Shaw.
I was watching a video where Big Z was talking about the 2017 World's Strongest Man, and his quote on it was, "Well, you can't win everything." And then someone's comment was, "Big Z, you can't win everything." The guy that literally won everything.
I see. The only guy that has an entire wall made out of shells to hold all his fucking trophies. He's got that many.
Or maybe he means you. Maybe he means you as a non-inclusive him. Like
Yeah, I
you
think
as in
that's what it
everyone, not me.
Yeah,
So
I
think
say he
that's what
didn't
it
say.
was.
Yeah,
you,
he didn't
whoever's
say we
listening,
can't win everything. He said you can't win everything because I already did.
Yeah. What the hell did he say in that one clip that was in that Eddie Hall had the whole thing in his video recently?
Oh yeah, he
It
was
was
saying something about like, oh, you can't say this that way, otherwise I will be 8 times the world's strongest man. Like,
exactly. Yeah, Big Z is like, yeah, or I would have won it 8 times. It's like,
honestly, I love just Big Z's just flat, dry humor. It's just fucking hilarious.
I also like how Big Z is a little bit humble, but even his humble is ridiculous because of how much he's accomplished.
It's hard to be humble when you've done as much as he has.
I mean, he is humble in the sense he's a good guy, and he's not like doesn't brag about his stuff, but like it could be taken as bragging just when he says things like,
Oh, I
you
won
know,
World's Strongest Man 4 times. Oh, okay. It's like,
I've
yeah.
won half of the
The
Arnold.
Arnold. That was my favorite Big Z quote. So they're going over. It's like, so historically, what do you think of just like all the Arnold contestants? He's like, well, I've won half.
That's, but it's not bragging. He's just stating,
Yeah.
it's like I've won half of the Arnolds that have ever been.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not a brag. It's not him bragging. It's just
What it is.
fact. Yeah, it's just what it is.
So the whole go. I guess moving on now to the Eddie and Thor a little bit because that's going on forever.
Are we done with Tom's Stone talk? Are we done with that?
He got 1 pound less at Rogue. He's going 1 pound up, and
Yeah.
what I feel like are probably slightly more conducive conditions, even though those are really good conditions.
Yeah, I think that one will be more to talk about once it actually happens.
It's like his brother is trying to go up 22 pounds on his PR. Tom's going up 1 pound on his PR, or isn't it slightly
He's
less
going
than
up the
1
weight
pound?
of a bird feather. Just like, yeah.
They're doing it's literally just a metric to imperial conversion. So like if you convert it over, they're going up to a non-decimal point, and that's the kilo he's lifting. Basically.
I mean, hey, people like round numbers.
So
True.
this feels like something he's already done with 1 pound.
Yeah.
But because
Yeah,
I guess
same
with
thing.
him, it's just like this feels the most shoe-in thing ever. But how does everyone else compare if they were there? And Tom is the best I've seen.
Yeah, I don't think his would be contested, even if it was at a competition. I don't think anyone even scratches that. I just don't. Well, the Texas guy could potentially. He was
Trey
real
Mitchell the
close.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very close because he
Mhm.
just missed the world record, didn't he?
I can't wait to see when he breaks into the top 10. I'm thinking it's going to be at Worlds this year. Is when when he does that, then he's probably going to get a qualifier, and I think we're going to start seeing him as one of the regular guys that we always see on stage and we always talk about.
I think so, yeah.
He's like you were just saying, he's been sitting on the fence for a bit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did pretty all right in WSM last year, but he only got in because that last man standing. But
Him and Rob both lost to that. So if you look at Trey Mitchell the third and you look at Rob Carney, they were both up points. So they had that second place spot, and they both had to do last man standing. One went against Luke Stoltman, one went against Tom Stoltman. The Stoltman brothers both won and knocked them both out.
Yep. But yeah, he did great in the heat, so it'd be nice to see him in the top 10.
Yeah. I kind of hope they change that rolling a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Stoltmans love it. They both only got into the finals because of that.
Because of it, yeah. So they're like, oh yeah.
They didn't come in 9th and 10th though, did they? They were
No. They came in like 4th and 5th.
That's
They barely missed the finals. They both almost missed the finals, but then they placed like middle of the pack in the finals. They didn't do 9 and 10.
Yeah, which is like at that point it's like, oh, okay, I'm fine with
that. Because there was 2 other heats worth of people who didn't have Luke and Tom Stoltman in those heats. So
yeah, I was just curious about that because I was wondering about that because of the point that I believe you made, Justin, in the Discord, and I think it was you or it was you, Tyler. One of you two had mentioned it how we get the top 5 strongest men and then 5
That was me.
people
Yeah.
that was you. Okay.
Yeah, 5 guys who can
Sorry,
lift stones
Tyler,
well.
yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, to be
But
fair, Tom and Luke proved that they are some of the strongest men in the world, but it's the idea of changing the way that qualifies. It just doesn't make sense because it's supposed to be the 10 overall strongest guys in the world. So that last man standing just kind of rubbed me the wrong way for last year. So hopefully they get rid of that this year.
yeah, and that's where I was going with that actually, Tyler. It's because of the point you made, and right. And that's what caused me to be like, where did Tom and Luke finish? Because like realistically, the only people this sounds just awful of me was Tom and Luke because I know they were in it, and I was like, where did they finish though? And
Yeah.
if they came in 4th and 5th, that proves that they were rightfully top
I think
5.
that was where Brian actually split them. I think one of them got 4th.
And Shaw
And
was
then-
5th this year. Yeah, you're right.
And Shaw was
probably.
5th.
And everyone was
And
like,
then
Shaw's
6th.
done because he's only the 5th strongest man in the world.
Yes. But he
And then I
he
think Adam
tied.
Bishop came like 7th or something
Yeah.
like that.
And so I mean they're good. I mean I would not be surprised. I guess I'd be a little bit surprised if Luke took a World's Strongest Man because how far in his career he's already now like 36. But Tom, I would not be surprised if he takes 2 or 3. Like
Not at all. Yeah, I think the next few guys to really start pumping out titles will be Tom and Matiusz. Be the next few guys to start winning titles.
Yeah.
And then
those two are strong, young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any like some of the other young guys. Trey Mitchell is young.
well, Martins is still super young.
He's not, but he's not as young as
He's
Tom.
1 year. He's 1 year older, right?
I think he's 2 or 3 years older
Something like that.
than Tom.
Yeah.
But I just think that Martinez is young, but he's already blatantly said I think 33 he's done. So we only got a couple years of him. And could he win another one? Yeah, he could absolutely win another one.
He's 1 year older than Rob, so I think he's 37. Sorry, 27. It's 27 is what I meant to say. I think he's 27 or 28 right now.
We got about 5 more years out of Martins, yeah.
So yeah, then with that, I thought he was like 30. I thought he was 29 or 30, but if he is that age, then we've got a few years. He'll probably pump out. He can probably, especially with all this time to recover. I think Martins is going to get at least one more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Kiliskowski fixes his deadlift, he becomes unbeatable.
Yeah, his deadlift and a little bit better in squat because those 2 static events where he kind of not as great, but his moving events are stupid. Arnold's, I just sat there staring like, what the hell just happened? That was insane.
I think we got that, and Tom, he doesn't have any. I don't know that he has any glaring things that can hold him back because he has a really good deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
Squat. I don't know what his squat's like though.
Me either. I don't think I've actually seen that.
That'd be a good one to look into.
To continue on the topic of World's Strongest Man and transition into the Eddie and Thor thing. So the last 5 years, we've had 4 World's Strongest Man winners, and 2 of them immediately quit strongman and went on to pursue other careers. Do you think that's going to become more common? Because it does seem very clear that if you win World's Strongest Man, you can transition it into some other way to make more money than if you continued strongman.
Well, I have a couple questions then. Who are the 2 people that have retired immediately after winning? Eddie is one, so I know Eddie. So who's the other one?
Well, Thor, he did because he hasn't done another World's Strongest Man, right?
Yeah, he did.
I'm sorry, he did one. Yes, so Thor retired with 1 year after, and then Eddie retired immediately.
I didn't think Thor retired from World Strongest, or did he just announce that? Did I miss it?
Oh no! So here's what we're assuming because he's not doing strongman. He announced for the next 18 months. And he's cutting
hard to go back
a ton of body weight and a ton of cardio. So let's say 18 months to the end of the fight, right? And then it would probably take him another year to get in competition shape. So we're looking at 2.5 years.
And by then, all the other young guys who are getting up to their peak, they'd outclass him to the point where it's like, would it be worth competing again in strongman, taking basically 3 years off before getting back?
So he's 30. What? He's 31 right now.
31, yeah.
So we're looking
Being
at like
34 before competing again. Yeah, I don't know if I see that.
Yeah.
It's very rare you see guys like Mark Felix who just keep going just because they don't give a damn.
And the ones that do don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's. So I feel like when he announced that he wasn't going to be doing strongman for the next like 18 months, except for potentially Iceland's strongest man, that's as good as saying you're retired.
Yeah, because his main goal with strongman is that he's got 9 Iceland's strongest man consecutives. He wants to make that 10, and after that, you might never see him in a strongman comp again.
Yeah.
When he's saying, so I just don't feel like he come back after 18 months. So I feel like that's as good as saying he's retired. And he's making way more money doing the boxing thing.
Oh,
and he's making way more money doing all that stuff. Now, if
you
Brian,
never hear 7 figures in strongman.
And if Brian were to quit strongman and pursue television, which he has all the connections for, he'd be making more money than doing strongman.
Mm-hmm.
Martins is the only one I don't know if he would be able to directly jump, but I wonder if that's going to like hinder strongman because we're not going to see a lot more Big Z's or Brian Shaws.
Yeah, I guess it just kind of depends on like the individual person, like whether they've got that level of competitive spirit. Because like you got guys like Brian Big Z, they're about as competitive as it gets. So they want to keep pushing, get more. Like Brian, he wants that 5th, maybe even that 6th power will become the next big guy. But are we still getting guys coming in that have that, or they just want to win and be like, all right, I've done what I wanted to do?
Has it gotten so heavy that that's becoming the only option? Is the reason you win one and then bounce or only hang around for another year is because everything's gotten so heavy you can't support a 10-year-long career anymore.
Yeah, I would say, especially with the body weight these guys are having to get up to, how much that affects your health and all that too. The longevity of it is another concern.
Yeah.
Because Martin's holding on pretty well, but that's because he always takes second place through everything, and he wins at lower weights. And he's great at it. He's so well rounded.
Martins is like the technique king of strongman. He's got that down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's exceptional.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't set a trend where everyone starts bouncing, and then we don't get to have our like Ryan Shaw's, our Big Z's, like Max and Maxons, people that kind of like are good for like a decade. Because if it's do you guys watch MLS at all?
I don't watch MLS.
So in MLS, it's like a farm league for European soccer for Premier League.
I watch EPL, so.
So whenever like you got a player on your team, like we had Miguel Almiron, whenever they get really good and you win, you're going to lose them because they're going to go to the next level and get money. Does that mean like you start following it's like Trey Mitchell the third? We're following him in his early career. 3 or 4 years from now, say he wins the World's Strongest Man, then bounces, you lose. You're going to be consistently losing your top talent whenever they win. And something I really hope doesn't happen to strongman because that's something that's really frustrating in MLS. Is it's cool that you're doing good, but all your good guys are going to be gone the next year because you're doing good.
Well, they can go to the EPL and make stupid money.
they add a zero when they go to Europe to their paycheck.
Yeah.
I guess it's really that question of where we kind of ushering in a new era of strongman where it's not creating a legacy anymore.
That's what I was worried about. Is all the talent going to be leaving because the strongman's now popular enough to be like people like, oh wow, we want you in movies or we want you in this. Because if you look at how much World's Strongest Man is paying, Thor literally he's getting a zero added onto that check to do the boxing thing. It's like the same thing as getting a zero added on your check to go to the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. Maybe the strongman corporations are going to start paying more to keep that, but
have to.
And another thing I think we could use is like I remember we all had a conversation about this like a month or two ago, and at least feats of strength, and I was having like one singular unifying strongman federation, so everything could be kept the same all across one board. I think could help save the sport. That way, everything's consistent.
I was sort of in that camp, but then I like what Big Z said. I'm equally okay with. He was basically saying just let every organization govern themselves, but then maintain everything separately.
So you have like the Wuss records, the Arnold records, stuff like that. Yeah, I remember him saying that. And it's like it's not a bad idea. It's just a question of what would be better in the long term for the sport.
Because you have even if you try to make it as similar as possible, Rogue is gonna use a Rogue bar, and so the
absolutely.
Arnold is sponsored by Rogue. Arnold's gonna be using a Rogue bar, right?
Mhm.
World's Strongest Man uses some other deadlift bar. Well, Giants Live uses some other deadlift bar,
They
and then
use
they're
the
using,
Oki bars, I
I
think
would
is
say
what they
it's the
use.
Oki bars, isn't it?
Yeah.
and then they use a Rogue bar, and then two people pull 500, 501, because Thor and Eddie, for example, were using different bars. You get to the point where yeah, you got to have the same sterile condition, so it's better for them to maintain it separately instead of trying to say it's the same record, because then they can say same equipment every time. And so yeah, keeping them separate records, I feel like, is, if we're gonna do this, and a lot of things are going to be changed between the different organizations, which is fine, then just view everything as separate, and then you just kind of got to view it as you're comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, but I guess it also brings to the question, if we get another division like we did back in the days of Mariusz Pudzianowski when he was winning 5, you had the big split in those two competitions, and so it's always been the argument that he won 5 World's Strongest Man titles because there's the 2 separate federations, and more of the stronger guys are going to the one he wasn't competing. It's just a question: are we going to see something like that again, where strongmen pick and choose who they want to go
Well,
with?
I also think that back then you didn't have as much money, so you sort of had to pick. If you did it where, if we have 4 big ones, and they're going to work together, or send emails and communicate in some way, right? So it's
Oh,
not
they
really
still do,
hard.
yeah.
It's not hard to structure where you have 4-year, and then everyone knows these are the 4 championships. Like in golf, you have the Masters, which is 5 different golf courses, right? It's 5, right? Is the Masters?
I do not follow golf.
Only
Uh,
sport I follow is strongman and hockey. That's it
So
for me.
so they're all independent tournaments. Like they're kind of managed, they're under the PGA, but they're independent on their own golf courses. You have the 5 different. So you'd have like the 5 championships, and you don't really necessarily compare rate one too much above the others. It's just how many you have. So if it goes that direction, where we have 4 hardcore, legitimate, all the strongest guys are at events, then you would just almost count championships independent of the competition. So instead of saying 4 world's strongest mans, 3 Arnolds, you would just say 7 championships.
7 titles, okay.
7 titles. I feel like
can see
that's
that.
the way that this could go. And I also like keeping it separate, because then they can keep their payroll separate. And World's Strongest Man's very, like, if there was a council of like, how are we going, if we're going to organize and be under one unified thing, I just don't feel like the people would make as much money as if they were all separate and all kicks in some way competing. Because
Yeah.
if you're getting a little
that is
beat up like
true.
Brian or Thor, or and even Big Z was, like when you get in the kind of backside of your career, 4 is a lot to ask. So you might then say, I'm just going to go for 2, or I'm just going to go for 3, or maybe even just go for 1. And then they're going to choose the one that's managed the best and pays the best. So you would be putting, they would be all competing against each other, which I think would benefit the competitors and make talent stay more often. Because right now we're losing 50% of the top talent over the last 5 years.
Yeah. I think staying separate is more ideal. I just think I get back to that one governing body that actually works with all the federations and is like, okay, this, and this, these are different than this. I still think that's going to be. I still think that's the most ideal route. Keep all the competition separate so people can get paid. So the athletes get paid, because they don't get paid as well as they should. Yeah, and and that's why, like, some of your European guys, they just compete all the time.
Well, a lot of
like, so yeah, guys like Novikov, who's, I don't remember how many freaking competitions that guy did last year. And then, Manchus Belshak, the dude's like missing part of his hip, and he kept competing just so he could have money to pay to get his hip replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna next 3 years, strongman is gonna look nothing like it did 2 years ago. I think we hit a critical tipping point where I think World's Ultimate Strongman was that critical tipping point where it's gonna cause the whole structure of everything, and it's gonna feel weird for a couple of years.
I think so too. Especially this whole feats of strength thing really started that conversation. Like there was murmurs of when World's Ultimate Strongman started, but this year it's really ramped up. So, and we're kind of in stride. We're in a new generation of strong men. So I think we could see a pretty big shift in the next couple of years.
And you sort of had, if we go back a little bit further, so World's Ultimate Strongman was a TV show first. Like it's basically always been. I feel like the last couple of years they've been a little more serious about it being like an official sport rather than a TV show. But
yeah, more than just entertainment. Yeah.
So they've done a lot more circus lifts. So they were like the circus lift strongman competition, and then the Arnold has become slowly less powerlifting-y. Like it's always been more focused on static strength, but they've kind of now fused into the same standardized events where one was way one side powerlifting strongman, one was all circus lifts, and they slowly came to the point now where I could tell you the event list and you couldn't tell me if it was the Worlds or Arnold's. And then right in the middle of that, WUS looked at both of them and said, okay, these sort of are the standardized events. We're going to do the exact same ones in our competition. So if you look back 6 years ago and what were the standardized events? Well, they really weren't. You look now, it's like, okay, all competitions are following the structure. And so stability allows it to like really grow because more investors will come on because now it's not like this weird thing. It's super structured. We have the different like major competitions. So it's probably
for a while, the Arnold was just focused on being the heaviest show that there was. So that's why it was all that static stuff.
Yeah, it's going to become a lot more structured and a lot more official feeling, and in a way that I don't think like powerlifting is. I feel like it's going to become a lot more how CrossFit is ran. And what I mean by that, what I mean by that is they have
the bad word.
Well, not the competition, right? But if you look at how they're covered, how the sponsors work, how there's actual teams, there's like the corporate structure that is backing CrossFit and pushing it and propelling it forward with all the money, how the sponsor anything run. Strongman is starting to go in that same sort of structure, and it's just going to pump more money, and hopefully it allows us to keep our top guys, because you don't want to lose half your talent in your sport.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
But
so the Eddie and Thor thing, which is what inspired us into the
so this whole thing of the future of strongman.
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry, I know that wasn't the smoothest of segues.
Yeah, well.
But
better segues coming in season 2.
That's right. Hey. Oh, excellent. So Eddie and Thor are the feud between them. This I want to say something real quick. Like I'm happy that people are talking about it. The problem is I'm not overly thrilled that this is taking over the all of strongman. So I love that strongman is being talked about, but it's not being talked about in
a positive light. Yeah, they're talking about this controversy, all that.
Yeah. At the same time, though, all right. I was thinking about this. I don't like I said, I don't like both of them leaving, even though whatever. But Thor was also reaching a very young audience compared to any other strongman's followers with the game streaming and everything else.
And with being, a Game of Thrones star, all that stuff.
I would say Martins is better at reaching the young fans.
Well, if you looked at Thor's Call of Duty stream, that was nothing but little kids in there. Probably Martins is the same way. Yeah.
Martins. Martins playing Minecraft.
Yeah, so Martins and Thor have the 12-year-old army. So a lot, and if Thor even gets more popular, and it gets more, I just feel like we're going to see a massive influx in about 6 years from now, when they're around 18, we'll start to see it, and then 10 years from now, when they're 25 and they're on their second or third competition, there's a lot of people who are a lot of young kids who are coming on board because of Thor.
I think that's already been happening. So I don't want to forget this. So I think that's already happening. I don't remember what show it is. They're talking about it. But it's going to get to the point where strongman is no longer this thing that just if you're big and strong, you go do. It's something you literally train for your whole life. A really excellent example of this is Jerry Pritchett's son. His son, who is very young, is
already training.
Is training and is not, and he is no slouch.
See Nick Best's son?
I've not seen Nick Best's son. How old is
he? I think he's like 16 now, but he's been training his whole life. There was a documentary on Nick, or maybe it's in a video or something, when his son's was 5 or 6, and he's like lifting up weights, and so he's been going for a decade now, like a little bit over. Like, yeah, I'd see a lot of these kids just become the next generation freaks, but they're not really bringing more people into it. I feel like Thor and Martins are creating an entire new generation that are going to be coming in, that will be seeing impact of. So like I can't fault Thor for that, because like he even leaving him, getting even more popular, it's going to bring more people to look at strongman way outside the strongman community.
If he talks about strongman, and because it still irritates me that people know who Hathor Bjornsson is because of Game of Thrones. Like, it irritates me, but it's good, but it still irritates me. Does that make sense? So it's like he wasn't just this giant human that they found. This was someone who had been competing, getting on the podium at World's Strongest Man. Always coming in the top in every contest he did. I mean, this guy was a strongman first, and people only just reference him as the Mountain. Like, I've had conversations with people like, "Oh, you mean the Mountain from Game of Thrones?" No, I mean Hathor Julius Bjornsson.
Yeah, 28 World's Strongest Man.
Yeah. 3-time Arnold winner. Come on now.
Or the thing is, I don't even think about him from being from Game of Thrones. Like, when I'm thinking about like Thor and all that, not a single thought of his acting career pops into my head. Like, I don't even connect the dots between him and acting in Game of Thrones.
And it's funny, I heard of him first through Game of Thrones, but like I still think of Strongman when I think of him now, because I've invested myself way more in Strongman than I have that terribly ended show.
I
try to erase Game of Thrones from my memory now.
I'm the opposite. I actually wanted to watch Game of Thrones solely because of Hathor Bjornsson being in it. I was like, I want to see.
I remember I started watching it because I was so tired of people telling me, you need to watch the show and dropping references. I'm like, all right, let's see what this is about. And I'm addicted now. Shit.
I'm at season 5, and so I just grinded the first 5 seasons like back to back to back to back, like some ridiculously long movie.
Yeah, but then when I watched Strongman, I'm like, hey, it's that mountain guy. And now when I watch Strongman, it's like, it's Hathor.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I knew him from initially. So that was just one thing, but he does have that presence to bring in way more people, and if his Twitch streams are flooded by 10-year-olds or 12,
they are.
Or whatever,
trust me, they are.
I don't watch Twitch, but so that is good for the sport if he's talking about strongman, which I know he did some training on Twitch. I think Martins has done some training.
They've both done training sessions live on Twitch. Yeah. His channel is very much strongman focused. Because even like Thor, both of them. Because like you also, they eat on a schedule like every hour, and so even that comes up. So it's very like focused on it, and we'll probably see the biggest boom we've seen, at least just in viewers, as they all start to come of age, because there's been no real exposure to the strongman community like this, like there's been the last 4 years.
Yeah, and like even proof of that is our Discord. Our Discord has some young in it.
It does, yeah. Like, seeing people on like 16, 15 that are looking for advice to get started in it. Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch our sport grow like this.
Yeah, someone was like asking about creatine because they were just 12 and they just needed information. It's just like, they're getting if that kid stays with it at 12. He starts his strongman career. See him at World's Strongest Man at 20.
Maybe then he should start dosing creatine.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, before you've hit puberty.
Yeah, it's just like just getting the gym, but like if that person stays with it because they probably got it in by Thor or Martins. They used Discord. They just searched and found us, and then now they're asking questions and they're participating and they're working out in their own strongman path. Fast forward to that 8 years from now, and we'll see that person on World's Strongest Man. So
right.
Won't that be awesome? We'll be a bunch of old dudes and be like,
Yeah,
hey,
so we'll be
they were
sitting
in
in
our
our
Discord.
yeah, we'll be sitting in our rocking chairs. But I guess so back to track with the actual Thor versus Eddie thing. It's just kind of interesting all of this, like the actual controversy has been brought back and brought to a head so fast.
I'm
Like,
so Team Eddie on this, so that's
so
why I
am
don't
I.
want to talk about it. But I
So
do
am I.
see this other counterpoints, and my view, which is Thor frustrated me more that he went for 5-0, like him going for 501 frustrated more than anything else he could have done. For the reason that he was supposed to clear, like he was always saying he was a better deadlift. People like it's always comparing. His whole career has been him versus Eddie. Especially 2017, everything he's done has been him versus Eddie. So his deadlift wasn't I'm going to deadlift 501, and it's not like his deadlift is I'm doing it under wuss. His deadlift was I'm showing I'm a better deadlifter than Eddie.
Yeah.
It wasn't about anything else besides I want to prove I'm a better deadlifter than Eddie. And then his world's strongest man was I want to prove that I was robbed in 2017. So it's always been I want to one up Eddie, and
go ahead.
It felt like so Eddie had already peaked, so Eddie can't come back, right? And so his numbers were set, his achievements were set. Then Thor was going to prove once and for all that he was better than Eddie in every way, kind of thing, like in his head. And then so he does the World's Ultimate Strongman to do 501, and the conditions are so similar. He didn't answer any question: is he a better deadlifter? Because he got 501 in conditions that you could argue even the stiffness of the bar can affect 1 kilogram. If he would have gone 505, he would have, in my head, cemented it. But there's so much gray area that's just like it frustrates me further because he's acting like he's achieving or the beating Eddie. So all his achievements are legit achievements, right? But he's acting like his achievements are better than Eddie's or he supplements Eddie's, but he's not. He's always just tying them and then claiming he like better. He's world's strongest man's better than Eddie's world's strongest man. His 501's better than Eddie's 500, even though Eddie had a 30-minute wait time between lifts and he only had a 12-minute wait time in a perfect like warm-up structure. But and he did lift more, but 1 kilogram. It's like he's always just tying. It feels like he's always tying Eddie, and then claiming that when he ties Eddie, that he's better than Eddie. And he's not making it about I won world's strongest man. My world's strongest man was better than Eddie's world's strongest man. My deadlift was better than Eddie's deadlift. And I see why it's frustrating to Eddie because Eddie's like it's not, but then everyone hates me because you're more popular.
So I am not as hardcore Team Eddie in this. I am very much 50-50 because I'm going to give you a couple reasons. One, I think Thor is an actual good guy. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a genuinely good dude. I think the same thing about Eddie.
Yeah.
So as far as the deadlift goes, he made 501 look a lot easier than Eddie made 500. That I will. No one in this world can convince me otherwise. He made that look easy. He handled his body, handled it better. He should have done 505. He could have done 505.
The thing about it too, though, is if you look at all of Eddie's deadlifts, sort of look like that, even at the lower weights. Thor is just looks more mechanical. But the fact that Thor called it quits at 501, and then he's like, "I'm done. I'm not even trying to ever go above 501." I can't give him credit for because like I know I lived with a buddy who's like when he deadlifts, right? He will make 1 pound less than his PR look easy, go up 1 pound and not budge it off the ground. There's some people who have like that sort of they're gonna get it or it's not gonna break earth. And Thor strikes me as the kind of guy that would make 2 kilograms less than his true PR look easy and go up 2 kilograms and then not be able to lift it, where Eddie's going to make every single weight look hard because he's a grinder style deadlifter, where Thor's a more... So it just feels like I don't know if I can give Thor credit for a lot more because all of his deadlifts look clean and all of Eddie's deadlifts looks like brute kind of... Yeah.
I think Thor was better suited to pull the 501 than Eddie was suited to pull the 500. Period. That's what I guess that's what I mean more so than anything else. So I just
wish he would have proved it at 505. I just can't give it to him. Like that's what's frustrating. I thought he was going to do another competition. What really ticked me off was he got 501 and they quit. I'm like, that's fine, because next competition he'll do like 505. And he's like, I'm going into boxing and quitting strongman. It's like, you wanted to prove to the world a thing, and then all you did was just make it more complicated and solve and nothing. That's what really just frustrated me with Thor. Like,
and I can get on board. And I can get on board with that as well. This whole controversy thing that's going on, I just think, one, it's not great. Two, I think it's super convenient that all of that behind the scenes footage recently got released. I feel
it got released because of what it got released because of what Thor was saying. Because Eddie Hall's close friends with Colin Bryce. Colin Bryce is in with World's Strongest Man. Now that all this came to light and Thor was making the stink between 2017 came back up, they went and grabbed the footage.
Because before then it was never a problem. It was like whatever.
Because it was a problem. It just wasn't in the public eye.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. I guess, yeah.
To this degree.
So back then it was still in the public eye, but then faded. And now with all this, it's
and you could see that the competition, people putting on the competition, clearly disagreed with Thor's statement that all those reps were clean and he was robbed. So they released the footage almost like a police, like releasing, like a chest cam footage after an incident, saying like, we're releasing this because here is the thing. Like, that all went down there. Like, well, here's all the footage so you can see that yes, he was warned before the competition. We warned during the competition. Warned 3 times, like during his lift. And if you look at some of his earlier lifts that they counted were way worse than the one he didn't count. And you look at Eddie's, and all of Eddie's were perfect. But so I feel like there was definitely no real leg to stand on in 2017. That sort of kicked it all off.
But what this has done, though, what it has made me kind of reflect on is the reason Thor only did 501 is because Eddie only did 1 extra rep. Only that 1 rep that he needed. I guarantee. I think Thor's a good guy, but I think he's petty enough to be like, I'm going to do 501, say I'm way better than him because he only did 1 rep and he said he could do more. I'm going to make this 1 kilogram look way easier than his 500 did, and then I'm going to be done there because that's all I needed. Because that's what Eddie did. Eddie had more reps in him then too, but he didn't need them, so he didn't waste his energy. Thor, in this case, is being petty, in my opinion. And again, I like Thor. I think he is a genuinely good dude. I just think that was him being
unbelievably petty, and that drives me crazy about Thor because he's provoking Eddie in all of this. It's not like Eddie's looking for it. He's going. He's directly going after Eddie, and then people are making it look. I just feel like clear it up or drop it. Do 505. Do 501 in the same conditions, or do 505 in other conditions. And then if you look at now that his career's done and you look back on it, Eddie won a lot of Europe's Strongest Men. He had axle press record, which he still holds. He had his deadlift record in competition, and then there's the Thor's record and outside of competition. But I'll count them both as records, just under separate conditions. It's my head. If you look at the body of their careers, he's quit at just the right point to stack it up, so it's like. It's not distinguishably better in any way than Eddie's. And then he ends it with a deadlift under conditions that make it not necessarily distinguishably better than Eddie's. I just wish he would have, why? Thor, all you had to do was go another 6 months in Strongman and you could claim everything you're trying to claim right now. He's trying to claim, he needed another 6 months. He needed another, 1 or 2 competitions, maybe 1 more Worlds. Maybe go to a World Deadlift competition. To put all that to bed. And I think the yes men that people always talk about that surround him have made him thought that he's already accomplished, but I don't think he's accomplished. I don't think he's supplanted Eddie's career. I can't put either of them above the other one. And Thor truly believes that he's leagues above Eddie because of the people who surround him.
Yeah, whereas really the difference is that when he thinks it's that. Yeah.
If it even is that, because if you look at all their other things that they've accomplished, there's not a whole lot more. You could.
The Arnold is the one that Thor.
Arnold's the one that Thor has over Eddie, but if you look at slightly less competitions, like Europe's Strongest Man, Eddie won that for a long time. Exactly. You'd have to bring up.
They've each got their own thing, kind of.
Yeah, and then if you look at other stuff that Eddie was doing, like World Deadlift Championships, he won that 3 years, and 1 year he only lost because he dropped the bar instead of setting it down.
Yeah. And Magnus was like, no, yeah, exactly.
So I like Thor. Everything he's accomplished. I really think he's this guy. I just wish that if he's claiming and obviously saying he's better than Eddie at all these things, that he would have just taken another 6 months and put it to bed instead of claiming something I don't feel like he can claim.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too even of a playing field for them to claim one is distinctly better than the other. They each have their points.
And the other thing that's really annoying, every time I think about this, I get more annoyed. So he had 4 years to break Eddie's deadlift, right? So he had to do it right now. And then all the lockdowns are being lifted, so all the competitions are back on, and then he had to immediately quit strongman. So he had to do his deadlift and finish his career, like right now, where if he could have waited to do the deadlift or waited to suspend his career because all the competitions are now back on, all this could have been answered. It had to be right now during this 3-month period to make everything as ambiguous and gray as physically possible. And that's what frustrates you about the whole situation, is he could have not done it in a way to make things more gray in my mind. And I'm one of those people that always tries to rank things, and I can't rank them because he didn't give me what I needed to solve the questions in my head.
I think you're being petty now, Justin.
I was going to say, you have to remember, he was planning on doing this on live televised competition April 11th in Bahrain. It's not like, I wasn't doing it before, but now I'm going to deadlift it. No, he was planning on doing it in a competition, so I don't think he was being that petty. I think maybe his
own 501 is petty.
501, yes.
That's him being petty.
That is true.
What Eddie did in 2017. Because it wasn't petty, very true. It was what it took to win. Every single strongman of merit says they do exactly what they need to win. And you look at the grandfather of strongman, or the father, whatever we want to call him, it's Big Z, and he's like, I did whatever I needed to win. If I didn't have to deadlift over 1,000 pounds, why would I deadlift over 1,000 pounds?
Mm-hmm. That's the reason I'm not against
15 reps. Why would I do 16?
And that's why I'm really not against the Wuss Ultimate Records, because why would you ever in competition go for a record instead of a win? Where if you have a really good world's strongest man, call Wuss and say, hey, I was feeling really good on that deadlift. In 6 weeks, $120,000, I'll break the record. Set it up.
Like with the Arnolds this year, that's why Thor didn't go for the 501. He probably could have pulled it, but he was more focused on winning the competition than pulling a world record, which was obviously a very smart move because he ended up winning, So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if he could have pulled it on the elephant bar. I was looking at I went and looked at Brian Shaw and some other people who had elephant bar and regular deadlifts and look at their totals. And usually the elephant bar is 4 kilograms to 6 kilograms less than a standard deadlift bar. And 501, that means we would credit him with pulling a 506 with several months less prep.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really up for debate whether he would have pulled that, but it's the fact that he made the strategic decision to not even attempt to do it and just go for the win is kind of the whole deal there.
Yeah.
So, when he pulled 501 this time was about where he could have pulled 501 is what I'm going to give him. But it's just I just wish he would have. I wanted that 505 so bad from Thor.
I wanted 505 or something, even maybe 510 if he was bold enough to go for the other relay.
I wanted more than 501 myself. I wanted him to get the 501 and then go up.
Do a 4th attempt, and be like, okay.
I want to go for 505 now. Anything more? I mean,
505 I feel like covers all the miscellaneous factors, right? It's a slightly different bar, slightly different bend and how the plates come off. It's home territory, all those little things. I feel like they're completely opposite.
Yeah, different land plates.
I'll round all that under 505. Mm-hmm. Where that 505 under those conditions is still heavier than his 500. I'll round that off, but that 1 kilogram above, I can't chop that up to anything more than rounding errors. And just when you factor in the different changes between their lifts, I don't know if 1 kilogram is
So at the end of the
harder.
day, it's basically like comparing two 500 kilogram deadlifts.
It's like comparing apples and oranges. Is how I feel like on the two ones.
Okay.
It just drives you nuts. I love whenever you you go off about that, Justin.
At least the Thor versus anything, we're all agreeing that those Viking press lifts weren't very good, so he had no really grand stand.
And now we'll just see who could punch each other harder in the face, I guess, in 16 months.
Yeah,
they're gonna go. I think it goes. I think
it's so just like
3
off
rounds
the beat.
wins that.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. Like
it's gonna be 3 rounds of just. I said it before and I'll say it again. The patient man wins this one. The patient man is going to win it.
Boxing is an endurance sport above all else.
The one thing I think that all the other strongmen are kind of going to enjoy is not having 23 Icelanders in the recovery tent between each event.
I was gonna say, it's like, you see the whole thing tense. It's like everyone just sitting there, just like with their wife or the kids, whatever. Then Thor's just like, I got all these dudes. It's like.
And then Eddie was talking about one time he couldn't find his seat in the sitting area after an event because they were all in there. Yeah. So I think no one's gonna miss having.
It's his group of yes men.
Yeah.
It should have just been like him, his wife, and Seb should really be all.
Normally, like you, your significant other, your trainer, and then your recovery worker. You normally take like 3 and.
So he probably taken like his dad or Stefan for his handle or something. We gotta have Seb there for obviously coaching, but he didn't need 20. He didn't need half of Iceland to come to World's Strongest Man.
No, he's they're very close knit there. So I mean, that side of it, they're yes men. Of course they are.
That's because they want to support their guy. Yeah,
and they're very proud too. So of course they're going to go there and they're going to support their guy. And I don't see
from the stands, not from the athlete tent.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I mean, last year you saw like from Martin's, Bill and a couple of his friends, they were just in the general audience. They weren't, with him. With them, it was just Romark, Lindsay, and Ode were with him, but all his other friends were out in the stands, not taking up room at the tents. I think that's the way Thor should have done it with his entourage. It's like, sure, bring all the friends you want, but don't clog up the athlete holding space. These dudes big.
Yeah, because they're not small guys. I just think that the Thor and Eddie thing, I kind of hope it simmers a little bit, like any other type of boxing feud that happens. I want it to simmer, and then a couple months before, bam, it ramps right back up. Crazy.
I don't want
you need the hype then. Right now, there's so much hype that
because if they're constantly
bored.
Yeah, because if they're constantly at each other's throats these next 2 years, everyone's just going to tune it out. And then when the boxing match happens, it'll happen, and then people will be like, "Oh, hey, that was yesterday. Who won?" And instead of like everyone's hyped for it,
because they're all hype. Well, Eddie can probably maintain without any drama from the fight, and still bring numbers because of his social media and YouTube following.
Yeah, he's super popular on social media, just by being a beast.
If Thor's YouTube channel continues to grow, then they're just going to have people who know where they are and they're still interested. But yeah, I feel like all the hype that people outside of Strongman and outside of who are subscribers to the YouTube channels hearing oh, these two big dudes are going to duke it out, they're going to completely lose interest over 16 months because there's not.
I was saying, I think the one wrong move Eddie made was making his new YouTube intro entirely about kicking Thor's ass. It's like, you should have stayed on brand there. You make yourself
now. I haven't watched. I didn't watch the last 2 or 3 videos about boxing on Eddie's channel.
Yeah, I don't watch any of those. I only watch the controversy ones. So I'm like, hey, it's strongman content again. Finally, the thing I care about.
And I mean, Eddie doesn't even need to do he can do boxing training. Eddie doesn't even need to do videos at the gym. Eddie's just a funny guy. He could talk to other strongmen.
His videos with Ross Edgley, I was fucking dying with those. Those were hilarious.
So I think it'd be best for his channel to
just Mankini
not show the boxing stuff because he's probably still going to do weight training sessions. He's probably doing boxing weight training, boxing weight training, boxing weight training.
Yeah, so just balance those out.
Just do the videos on your weight training days and maintain it about strongmen and keep the humor. Because
stick to your brand, basically.
But every video being about fighting Thor, I can't handle for 16 months.
Me either. That's why I haven't watched as many of his videos. It's it's just.
I watched the most recent one. I think the one with that long clip in it. I want them to calm down with it. because I like boxing. I enjoy boxing, and I'm gonna enjoy watching these two go at it.
Yeah.
But they need to wait until 2-3 months out and then then hype it up, because right now you do this for 60 months, like you said, everyone's gonna get bored, and I'm excited about it just to see it. It's not gonna be great. It's not gonna be good boxing, I think.
Yeah, it's like when Pacquiao versus Mayweather got announced. It was announced, everyone was hyped. Then preparation went on. It was kind of simmered down, and it's like, all right, 2 months after the fight, everyone went crazy. That's how you promote a boxing match.
Exactly.
The other question is who's going to do more TV and movies, because Thor already has a foot in the door. Eddie has what, 4 seasons of TV on right now?
Yeah, and I know Eddie, because I know Eddie had that one documentary made about him. I remember a few months ago.
So Eddie,
they were filming this. They're filming the second part. So I think because Thor hasn't really talked much about doing TV stuff, but Eddie's kind of always bringing that up at least once a month. So I feel like Eddie might be the more TV oriented one. But
I mean, like Thor's gonna be
recently
pulled into
Thor's
movies.
retirement. So yeah, Thor retired like a month ago. So it's like we'll see, what happens after that. Now his career path itself.
They have to maintain their kind of celebrity profile, because it would
absolutely.
be poison the career to not do. So it's gonna come down to who does less projects over the next 18 months, who spends the more time focused on training. Because initially I'm like Eddie all the way, because I thought it'd be in like a couple months, but with such a long lead up, and whoever trains the hardest between the two of them, because there's plenty of time to blow this and plenty of time to make up a lot of ground.
Yeah, because if the fight was happening tomorrow, Eddie would annihilate Thor. There wouldn't even be a question. But they got almost 2 years to train. Now it's just who does better.
Who stays focused? Who
loses the most weight? This is what I was wondering.
Yeah, I was saying Eddie's already at an advantage with that, with how much slimmer he is than Thor.
I think
there's going to be a threshold.
Quicker.
Well, here's the thing.
Way faster.
After being world
10 kilos, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. I mean, and a lot of that was water weight, but even then, he's always been consistent in moving his weight, whereas Eddie's been like, because it did take Eddie a while to slim down from his 2017 World's Strongest Man.
Well, then there's the other question. So they're both way too heavy. Both of them
massively too heavy.
But they're also super, super strong, right? So if Eddie cuts as much weight as he should cut, he would no longer be an insane strength athlete, being able to do strength challenges, being on stuff like Strongest Man in History. Even his show is based around how big and strong he is. If you cut a bunch of weight off of him, he loses his entire previous brand, and then he has to somehow go into like basically a boxing style thing for there on. And so it's going to be which one is willing to lose the most muscle mass, I feel like, is who's going to win.
I think Eddie can cut and maintain a decent amount of strength, and I can guarantee Thor can do it, because Thor he's not. I mean, obviously they're not. Eddie's not even as strong as he once was, clearly, but Thor can cut down, because before Thor's actually been the biggest the last few years. Before Thor was never actually that big. Thor was always. I mean, he's big because he's a giant human, but. He's gonna. I think Thor is gonna have the easiest time getting down to an easier weight. Whereas Eddie, I think Eddie is gonna have to lose. I think Eddie will lose more muscle, just because he has to. I think Eddie is more muscular than Thor.
And that's what I was gonna say. I think the weakest one wins. Is what I was basically. I think who's ever willing to become the weakest will win the fight. Because being the weakest means that they're gonna probably have the best cardio and conditioning, and can go longer. So the weird thing is that they're too strong, man. But what they have to, but this next competition is going to probably be won by the one that's weaker, and the one that maintains the more mass and stays stronger is probably going to lose. And that's such a weird thing to go from like I'm stronger to the weaker one wins.
I think they could both cut. I think Thor can get down. I think Thor could go the whole way down to like 320. And be a very good fighting weight. Whereas Eddie, I think Eddie would have to go down to more of the maybe 310s to be at a good fighting weight. I think.
Considering Thor's like 6'9" and Eddie's 6'3", something like that. And
Eddie's
really different too.
Eddie is 6'3", but
it's the mohawk that makes him 6'3".
Yeah, and when he stands next to guys who are 6'3", he's shorter than him. So
Yeah.
he's probably
I'm pretty sure
6'2",
Eddie's.
change.
Yeah, Eddie's probably just about as tall as I am because I'm 6'2". So.
Oh, there you go.
At his peak, he had 440 pounds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So if he's your height, picture like you 440 pounds, what that would be like.
I'd like to not imagine that. I'd like to stay under 300. All right. I think 240 would be the max for me. All right. I mean, shit. I'm not trying to win more.
I would love to get. I haven't been 240 pounds since 10th grade.
Yeah, but look at my fucking arms, man. All right.
I don't. You can't. I mean,
it is kind of funny what the viewers are going to think. Like, oh, this guy's talking strongman, and then they see me do this, and like, wait, why is this guy talking about it?
yeah. I mean, but yes. So I think Thor it will be heavier, but I think he'll be just as lean.
Yeah, they'll have around the same body mass type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever that arbitrary.
Eddie's BMI will be higher than Thor's just because Eddie
Eddie naturally holds a bit more fat than Thor too.
And Eddie eats a bit more cheesecake.
Yeah. Eddie eats a lot more cheesecake.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't think he could ever cut is his one cushion is that half a cheesecake a day when he's training.
Yeah.
Well, it was a full cheesecake ever like a
not
but
like
now
a small one,
but like a family size. I can't even
cheesecake. Yeah, one of the ones that are like
bigger than my head. He'll get a quarter of that, and that'll be his cut amount of cheesecake will be a quarter.
He would have a full family size cheesecake and then 2 pints of ice cream every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, say both Brian and Eddie are just ridiculously addicted to cheesecake.
Yeah, every time they get together, they get cheesecake.
Yep, so much so that Brian, that Redcom one's making a mass gainer, and Brian's like, "You have to make me a strawberry cheesecake flavor. I don't care about anything else. Make me that."
Have you ever had cheesecake? It's very easy to get addicted to.
I was gonna say cheesecake's my weakness. It's so good.
I have springform pans because I like cheesecake that much. I can make my own, man.
It's just so good.
It's just so tasty.
But anyway, back on topic.
So I guess the topic is who can eat the least amount of cheesecake and put the most amount of cardio in while balancing it in with maintaining some sort of movie TV career.
I don't think I've ever seen Thor eat a slice of cheesecake.
No, I think Thor is eating the most clean calories I think any human's ever eaten because you look at everyone else's diet and they cut that last.
Yeah, because Stan Efferding is all about clean eating, whereas Brian Shaw and the Martins, with Nathan Payton, it's more just like whatever food works for you instead of this very strict clean thing. Because quite often Nathan will tell Brian, "What? Hey, go to damn pizza," and Brian's like, "Okay."
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think Thor is the most strict with dieting as anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I don't know if there's anyone that's better at diet
timing.
But I think like dieting was something really hard to get into, and probably another episode because we could talk about that for hours.
So so 2. Okay, so now on to season 2. I'm thinking we're definitely going to be redoing the overlay. Probably might get another intro song. There's a lot of interesting things to do. I was thinking maybe next season we try to bring get some gym owners to come in and guest spot.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Definitely be pushing it a lot harder. Oh, we'll have another goal is to get that website with me started.
Actually get that up and going. Yeah. And I think maybe also get more of the general members in a Discord involved in podcast episodes too, instead of just being us like the core team having more special guests or whatnot. And maybe even if we can push it hard enough, maybe not be season 2 but 3, try and get some of the actual pro strongmen on, see if they've been interested in that, because that'd be something.
So what is interesting is we actually have a pro strongman in the Discord. Marcus, he's been on here twice now. So we actually have had a pro strongman on 2 episodes.
There we go.
Now let's make it another that's.
I want over so bad. Like I feel
I
like
would
Oberst
love
would fit in
Oberst.
this community so great.
He
I think
would.
you would. Yeah, I think Oberst would be a good one to have on.
Mhm.
The
Any of them, really. I just
yeah.
like anybody on, even Eddie.
Oh my god, I would have to like.
I'm pretty sure I'd scream if Eddie came out. I'm like, oh my god, oh my god.
I would
Don't
totally.
say anything stupid. Don't say anything stupid.
I would totally fangirl out about Eddie Hall.
Oh my god,
Um,
yeah. That dude is amazing.
Oberst, I could probably keep it pretty level head.
Because he's just that dude who's constantly at that level of chill. He's just cool.
Oberst is super chill, whereas Eddie Hall is like super star power, and it's like you. Oberst is too. I'm not insulting Oberst. So if Oberst,
I think we'd all freak out the most if we managed to get Big Z on here. We'd be like,
I wouldn't even be able. I'd just be sitting there.
nope. I'd be like, it's you.
Your word is gold, Big Z.
Yeah, it's like, what do you say? Just ask him a question. There's no recourse with Big Z though. It's
yeah, there isn't.
So what do you think of this? He then says it, and you're like, well, that is now my opinion.
You are not allowed to argue with him. Exactly. It basically be like just putting Big Z on a screen and saying like, hey, tell people how it is.
There's no recourse to that. It's whatever you say is the law in Strongman. So
yeah. So season 2, we're gonna fix the overlay. We're gonna have a different overlay, so everything's gonna look a little different for the viewers out there.
Website.
We're gonna have a website. Hopefully we can, and we've talked about this before. Hopefully, a few of us can get, and we can actually do like a in-person type of thing.
Oh yeah, meet up.
It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, meet up with everyone.
One thing I was thinking, we could even do like show PR episodes where like talk about building up. So I know you're trying to go to what's your next big deadlift milestone?
For me or for Tyler?
I guess either.
My next milestone will be 700 pounds. I want to beat everyone else in the Discord, but then I want to get 700 pounds.
I'll say something like that where you're like, I want to get the top Discord deadlift. That could be streamed from like your basement, where it's like this is going to be the ultimate deadlift record, like for our Discord, and then it's like we could do events like that, but that would be fun.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back up to strength, so I'm trying to get, for my deadlift, I'm trying to get 315, because I remember last time when I was actually powerlifting, it only took me 3 months to go from 135 to 315.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
It's because I was at that starting point, so I was at that newbie gains thing, and I backed down there to do that, get in there, and then kind of plateau. And
there is some flat to that.
400.
It took me like 2 months to get to a 550 pound deadlift.
He's also farm-fed beans and cornbread.
Actually, I'm not a big cornbread fan or beans. Just local beef is one of my favorites.
That is good. I've been getting into bison recently. I love bison.
I love bison. I hate the price tag, and I can get local. I can get local beef that I butcher myself. Fairly cheap, so that's what I go with.
When you go for the Discord record, definitely we'll make that the podcast that week, and that'd be fun.
Right. It'd be so cool if we could like all organize our cycles, like our training cycles, to when we all do the meetup. It's all of us, a video of all of us hitting our PRs for that cycle. If we could do that, that'd be the dopest video.
That would be cool. There's a good chance that I have a comp in August because everything's opening up. So
I'm probably not going to start doing comps.
Another thing that might be fun is to maybe on the channel as well, besides podcast. Well, one thing we want to do is also, in season 2 we'll start doing clips where we'll save interesting parts and release them as their own like little shorts for like 2 to 5 minutes. Another thing that might be cool is to actually put up some local competitions. So like if you compete, just set up a camera, film it. And then we can, put up the channel. Some more fun content ideas we could do for the channel.
And then shout out the people who sponsored it. And the comp I'm doing in August is actually it's an unsanctioned. It's a benefit competition. I'm very excited to be a part of it, and that would be something. And actually, the guy who I've talked to the guy who it's the benefit for their charity. So maybe even involve him at some point on here. The gym that's going to sponsor it, that owner, I'm not in with that owner very well. But I am in with the owner of my gym that I go to frequently, that I'm actually going to be introducing all the strongman stuff to that gym, building the equipment, and hopefully working with some local fabricators to build some strongman implements.
There you go.
Specifically for that gym. So I have a lot like that stuff's going on once shit can be open again. There's some really cool stuff coming, I think, and I think we can cover more of that. The one that I would be most excited for, obviously, like the PR episodes would be cool. The live, all of us, a panel in a room together or at a gym together or something, and do it like actual in person. I think would be
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
For me personally, I think that one would be the coolest one. Next, I mean, they're all going to be awesome. I love this podcast and I love this community. So they're all going to be awesome. But I think that having us all in person thing would be really cool. I know I'm potentially going out to Ohio here when everything opens up, probably next year at some point. And I'm actually going to train with my coach for a weekend. Hopefully him and I can get together and train a weekend.
Is that? Is it one of the what gym is that?
Valley City Barbell in Ohio.
Oh yeah, it's Nathan's gym he's building, isn't it?
Yeah, Nathan's my coach.
That's looking really. Oh, Nathan's your coach?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's. I would recommend him to anyone who wants to do strongman. So
I'm just a wee little power. Yeah, I'm just a powerlifter. And the reason why is
doing stuff, but
I suck at moving events. I'm a static strength guy. It's simple as that.
I like moving events. They're fun.
I don't dislike them. I'm just so goddamn terrible at them.
I'm terrible at Atlas stones right now. So I mean,
and plus, I've just always enjoyed powerlifting. So.
That's another one of my future goals. I want to hit that apparently magical number of a 1,500 total.
Yep.
Right. I think we've done the math before, right, Justin? I'm like 70 pounds or 80 pounds off of a 1,500
close
total.
I would say my goal, I want at least
1,500
1,000-pound total. I want to at least be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because my main weakness is bench because of that weird shoulder instability I have. I really need to see like a physiotherapist about that. But my bench is easily my weakness.
Yeah, my bench is my, I believe Keldo said about that poverty lift is my bench. I just suck at benching.
Same here. Like squatting, I could do fine. Deadlifting, I'm great.
I have a weird problem with bench. I've just never felt like as secure as an incline. And even till today, like I've been actually focusing on bench, and I still hit like the same numbers on incline or flat. It just does not feel flat. Bench is just not filled right. Like I don't get in the position where I feel like everything is super tight, super solid, and then I'm like, I don't feel the same platform I feel on incline.
You would think you would be an amazing bench presser because of your height, and you're a big guy. So like or do you have really long arms?
Actually, I have kind of shorter, so I'm actually. That's why my pressing overhead is so much better.
You should be amazing at bench.
Yeah,
short arms and.
As you say, I got these long, lanky things. This is why I suck at bench because I'm going just like traveling 3 feet in the air.
Around 225 is around my max on both of them, but usually everyone has their incline like 20 something or more pounds below, or even more than that, and
usually that's how I go with it.
And I think it's purely because I just don't have the same comfortability. And then if I were to actually get a powerlifting coach, I'd probably be able to shoot that up a bunch because I'd know like what I'm doing. But there's no benching in strongman competition, so I'm not super worried about it.
That's how I feel about bench too. My max bench right now is the max I've ever done on bench is 315. So that's my bench. I mean, I would like to get that. I would like to hit a 4-plate bench, just because that makes sense.
One thing I would like to do on the website, I guess while we're wrapping up, is I thought this would be a cool idea. Is it's really hard to find competition results online because they only ever show winners, but they never show the breakdown of the individual events. So maybe do some sort of like recording and logging of like the big competitions. Just because it's actually really hard to find that sometimes, like ridiculously hard. So that'd
we could be the
resource.
report of strongman.
Yeah. That would be awesome. I guess we could do that because we do watch most of the events. We do watch parties and whatnot in our Discord.
It means you keep track of all that stuff too.
Yeah,
It'd be a better place to have our polls too, voting for who we think is going to come in what place in the big competitions. Take that out of the Discord and the website too. We can do that.
But you heard our goals, Justin. What are your goals? Tyler wants to get. What's your
Oh
deadlift?
no.
We were talking about deadlifts.
Yeah, I was saying that's what I'm targeting is the 500-pound double overhand, no belt, no straps, just probably not even chuck. Just see what I can just
Natty.
pull. Yeah, as basic as can be. 500-pound deadlift is one of my immediate focus.
There you go.
Okay.
God, it's hilarious. Like my friend, he's always like, "We're buying weightlifting equipment." He's like, "Hey, do you need gloves?" I just kind of look at him like, "Weightlifting gloves? The fuck do I look like? A wuss?"
Bitch mitts. Yes, bitch mitts.
Yep. I'm like, bro, you ever heard of chalk and calluses? It works wonders.
I use chalk and I use straps for deadlift because
Yeah, I'll use straps because that's allowed in powerlifting. But anything that's not allowed in the comp, I'm not going to do in training.
I use straps and I can pull. I do wear a belt, but I can pull 500-pound double overhand. So.
Yeah, and if you don't want me going on a rant, just don't ask me about how I feel about sumo deadlifts.
I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up here, but yeah, we'll catch everybody in season 2.
Yeah.
Yes, season 2. Good stuff, guys. All right. Cheers.